Abusia breaking news. Mr. Oxe Jemre na yamfabi ensomo ewa haksi na yebo era eye former NAFCO boss Hanan Abdul Wahab ene ne yire eho nsensem hye no so mam se omu nsema na ewo court kane no attorney general beg your pardon e ka se wajemu sana o hidden agenda a wonua enye asem koto akra na this time around o masan ko piemu ewo court bi ma wonua omu a charge no 20 charges omu esusu se sa charges we see no kronobo kitatehye kankanye ehun foli ma onua enye asem koto akra na 60 million Ghana cedi money laundering bi ena omu edi ahete papai na eno ena ya project ato screen so edi amount no we say former NAFCO boss Hanan Abdul Wahab and his wife have returned to court facing 20 charges of alleged theft, fraud, and money laundering exceeding 60 million Ghana cedi. Eno ena yedibi exomo enedwe. Na Mr. Oxense for so ewo yanko eye Ivan Chinmensa asweye abra ono so ajemre na oboyin chirimu based on Ghana IMF yetimi exit from omu asweye AGH politics avenue. I don't subscribe to the mami
as a last resort. I'm very often in Susanso and Koye. The may short-term relief, but a bar na mismanage your home. The only time I will say Ghana for ye very diligent in our spending is when we are under the radar IMF edinary and yadia who free your home. Then we go. That is the problem. So the guarantee this time around it should be that after exit, how do we make sure that we continue? And then I think transition to the PCI and very, very important because it's not going to be financial assistance but technical assistance because they will be with you, give you certain guidance. Emma won't trip it off because your challenge has always been a trip off.
But 17 times, do you still need this PCI? 17 times.
Now,
PCI.
You see, sir, because politics, very often we are overtaken by certain initiative. Sabi. In so because we end up taking initiative just for partisan expediency. So the Panama culture said, may yeah, deal with, but impact bro, but the money will go.
Okay.
So they will guide you against some of these things. But then you also political will and commitment on the part of the government, whether you heed to some technical advice or not as a form. But I mean, my point has always been, so we have. And this you go into that particular line, because IMF I call and I know President Akufo-Addo pensui, and yes, I knew Najan, yes, sorry, I say I call IMF. Yeah, Conam sending the ambulance in poppy, the it wasn't that we couldn't do anything because at the time you're defaulting on external credit. Your friend is saying, we are your worst yet. Internally, DDEP, everything was on wayward. Or caught the credit rating agencies or when you had discredited Ghana, there was no way we could go and borrow because of the track record that can be for a time go edugu. So at the point, former president then, President Mahama, the advising government said they should go to IMF because somewhere all the signs around now, the country was not getting even forest forest so only way because we didn't even the commercial space now we were locked out. We won't even go through to bond and then as a forum. And this money be a big constraint on the part of the government. So the only way able to any access to credit was the IMF option, which also came with the conditions and a whole lot of stuff. So it wasn't because we wanted to go to IMF, because President Akufo-Addo, I can say Ghana is a proud nation. There was no way they would go to IMF. So I told there, it means that never been by force. You have to go. You understand? So for me, I think there are lessons. And at the time, and someone Ghana for coming wasn't because it be time but because the recklessness was quite clear. The mismanagement was quite clear. You do baby, you make a bubble sani, you party, you celebrate. What's in China? Are we really serious? Because if you had a natural resource, like you make a bubble sani by a party or chroma, it means our mind and you need direction. So this time around that. President Mahama there has been some smooth transition in the economic space. So we had the science before the economic template today. There are certain positive indications. And then I know most of the rating agencies and I shall say rating Ghana positive. It means that today we can return to the credit space to go and borrow. But it says that we are not going because and then the thing is that even Yaha Kasano, the government can raise bond. That is why I'm told about they are raising a bond of about 7 billion something, almost about 32 something billion. I even raise it from your friends saying, "Yang Kasa your space," I say, because people you give you amount for opportunity to invest. So that don't they know if you go and do that dollar denominated investment now. Sometimes and I'm say currency in stable, you know. Oh, to na buy some for. But if we bubble say na ebeye CD na wan kasa we nkrofo na omu invest dey musika eto bond na se for no ma very easy to be able to control and pay aban betime raise sika from higher na yemfa emwa ye ho se be your mind betime a position then the private sector, just like he mentioned, always has been the engine of the economy. But Aban doesn't have the capacity to employ anybody. Even if you go to America, which is the biggest economy, the private sector employ majority of the people. Okay. It means the government at any point in time, the policy direction, policy initiative, you can employ minimum number of people. But if you're able to energize, give them credit assistance, the private sector viable. They will be able to bring in a lot of people, a bit more minor, move on. Right. But if access to capital, so far as the private sector is concerned, a challenge. That's a man for cannot also access credit facility our banks are a problem. So these are some of the constraints that Aban will have to look at it. Now you're making sure. So recently, I saw the bank rate, interest rate, as a foreign national say a drop. Meaning a positive signs are. It give you that particular leverage for private sector to also take advantage. But I think that we can do more because now Donald Trump echo China. Apart from the executive, no DD, you know, private sector investor like Tim Cook, other people, Elon Musk, the engines of the American private sector, or the just to seek investment and then as a foreign. So I think government must also begin to partner some of the big investors in this particular country. When you go out and you travel with them, you give them that exposure. They're able to build connection and credit will come. Because investments in a baby by Betrania GDP, GDP, we did send the home. Most of the investment, you know, your friends and foreign companies are MTN. The amount dividends and then more post online. Dividends are making Okromano. We are South African company. No one listed in dollars. No the cop. Vodafone buy we own a certain percentage. I know they're quite the Kakrawum, but there are several other big companies in Okroma. They reap everything. The energy sector, the same thing. What I say. So I think that gold in as a forum. And so minus you can never grow. But these people cannot we see to go crowd or the come for onion share. When they are going, they take away your dollar. Then as a for and unfortunately, you have to say system a force company like MTN or profit, leave maybe 50% within Ghana for 5 years. Once the money stays, the economy will grow. Or maybe then they start afresh. At the end of the day, no one buy a launching pad. Man for used to make money. So I think a lot of reforms must come. It's not just because IMF, no.
All right.
What are the initiative measures they go going forward? Especially at this time, the economic template seems to be a big good, stable. No? I think we can leverage to build the economy. A bit me abuama the private environment, I grow well because as long as the private environment grow, and you must have as for the now you go back to the era.
They say 70 years.
Sometimes the Bahama made a promise that we are not going, and it will depend on the investment and the sort of initiative we're able to keep going forward. Always it has been reckless spending, and I think it's make it that particular thing. We can still live within our means.
Innocent, but that's it. I'm a Sambrini. They are on yes, or the I see fully out of it.
First and foremost, I'm chair my constituents for any honorable titles global of the last time catch us called national organizer, and me generally campaign more campaign didn't everyone say or be a next national organizer. But you see, when it comes to IMF, over the years, Ghanaian BRB wishes say Ghana be exited from IMF program. That's a fact. But we should also know that it's on record to say NDC Nedia call IMF chamber and BR. That is also a fact. So we bet now and also say we went to this IMF because of government, as in narrowing to the NPP government, as if the NPP government is the first government to take Ghana to IMF. Disingenuous. In 2013-2014, the same President Mama, Edia called IMF. The purpose of it is for policy credibility because na economy now all running a lose credibility to the extent say no be am per se obe investing. And that time, the only reason why that then affected the economy was that China was facing what's the name, some kind of economic challenges. China. But yet, say when you look at the Western world and America largely, America got through difficulty. It was snowball effect that affected other nations more than China. I'm not discounting saying trade has shifted to China. That even America, who say they have to now go and have some kind of also strengthen or relationship and improve our relationship with China. That's a fact. So if you went there for policy credibility, no, because of challenges of global happiness, yet way, you cannot tell me say there was a country now a country in the world that COVID by that country never had any impact. If we also be FAC the challenge because COVID and they selected and then some of the reasons amount for justify as to why certain things are happening is because Iran, Israel, and America are fighting. This is something that is affecting globally, internationally, yes, affected. But when it comes to some of the things that is having repercussions on us, no, who take it for instance the oil land, import here. 20% of the world imports ever Strait of Hormuz. Ghana, you're importing from Strait of Hormuz. That's a fact. So I wouldn't be happy to hear Obi Tinaha to try to chastise the NPP government, as you say. It was out of sheer recklessness. Merriment, IMF. It's not a statement of fact. Oko online now check it will tell you clearly why Ghana went for IMF program. Simply, global happiness. And you see, and then this IMF program, President Young Kohobium, no. I really wish say it will be the last for Ghana because subsequent governments, but finally we ended up 17 times. Okay. I don't think any government or Koho, ni aim say after a year program now, we'll still go back there. Near SET, for the previous government, ECO in 2023, which is ending in this month of May 2026. So if the government says that on Tuaswa, say Oko for the PCIs, right? That is fine. Just as Ivan said, the PCI is not monetary in this case. It's kind of some technical support by IMF. So it still tells you, say, you cannot discount the support of IMF because the discipline, no, and the issue. Okay. Because once we are on our own, then the discipline starts. Mindful of the fact, say, elections Sunday yenim and check. So sometimes these are the times, government is compelled to spend because who got into elections, amount for be demanding for roads, amount for demanding for certain infrastructure development. You are forced to go into it, and then normal politics and Kasano comes with its own spending, and that is when normally some of government budget is thrown out of gear. So I will be cautious. Say I'll really be happy because everybody wants to dictate certain norms within the economy, even though no country can be absolute. Say Obeka say, run economy 100% without relying on other people, not even the mighty economy like America that is standing on its own.
Discrediting how the government handled the economic situation or
who say me discredit like me discredit what?
The extent because IMF is you will not qualify to be able to get out of the IMF. So the prudent economic measures are buying the go and can be.
But what any NDC near Wakacho say that IMF policy a previous government call the impact, the positive impact, when say Omodi Abasubama, the former government, they make it seem as if say everything about the policy is negative, as if it has no positive impact. Okay. But when anytime IMF is backing your economy, it gives other investors out there and people who want to invest in the economy, knowing that once you are under IMF, you are constrained to be disciplined because IMF will look at your books and you cannot lie to IMF. Okay. Government, there are set instances, they told us one thing, only for IMF to come, and then they had to correct it. That was last year. So you see, that is what I'm saying, sir. Me, I will really be happy if we exit IMF. Because certain conditionalities of IMF over the years has not inured to the benefit of my way. Okay. Because when they tell you to do say over pama amount for a free ejumamu, or some cut size of government, or some cut certain expenditure. Over say okay. Unemployment rise, even though you want to cover some hole, you end up creating another hole in some instances. Right. Because we get some of the recruitment over the years, many governments have been unable to do, because IMF will tell you, say, don't go beyond this physical space. Yeah. And if you are not going beyond that physical space, and when that happening under President Mama One, employment went to me and recruiter amount for because of this IMF conditionality. Okay. So if we are hesitant, we are going to dictate the pace for ourselves. That is fine, which I agree to it. I wouldn't come and sit and discuss. But as to whether we will not end up mismanaging our own affairs and going back there, that remains the issue.
Right. That's it. Your friend Ibrahim Kamadin, or a communications team member of the NPP. I'm a Sama Bruni and I don't name a tardy friend. And okay, we have heard other issues. Your Excellency, we didn't say when the Aquariana in a minute.
You see, the problem you see when it comes to our economic development, inconsistencies in our economic architecture. Look, manifestos for political parties, did your mawation. And ma omano and share and co intimate consistency in our development. Okay. For example, MPP and DC manifesto are presented to the nation. And the content is the same. It is about Baku in election, of which do pulling umana ekoba. Now we could do her not the policies, we are just because the political can I say social contract with Ghanaians, and the MPP it will be an for the year could do. I was so just no so started the social contract with Ghanaians. They can say maybe may and amount to Abama. And so we need national policy agenda. Political party BR, make the multi-party many young multi-party democracy, it will never help us.
Back on several times.
Enka yenya economic policy framework. Dawa parties in what I'm draw manifesto free. It you crown. One said there will be similarities. Baby, I will me and she shall with them. A Kobasa or minor. The year biara I can't call the echo. Right. And I say 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards.
Yeah, I think the quick one. I think we are on TV. Let's set the record straight when it comes to economy and how our ebubu and as a phone. So we'll go back now. Had the rate at
we ain't some of the team course watching on so I'm not so Jim Reda Senator Biden Yadumi Edumania. Unia, you be saying Asomo.